Good evening and thank you for joining us. The Nuclear Waste Management Organization has released a 5-year implementation plan for its proposed multi-billion-dollar nuclear waste repository.
The NWMO has just 2 potential locations to house the underground facility, including one near Ignace. Vasilios Bellos reports.
The chosen location would have a repository that can store nearly 5.5 million spent nuclear fuel bundles from across Canada. The massive project has been in the works for nearly 2 decades, with a preferred location planned to be decided late in 2023. With Ignace being a possible site, it has sparked lengthy discussions surrounding the safety of transporting and storing these highly radioactive bundles. The Nuclear Waste Management Organization's new implementation plan addresses this, with Vice President Lise Morton saying the standards are significant.
We need to be able to demonstrate to a regulator, in this case to the Impact Assessment Agency of Canada, that the site has a strong safety case. So in other words, we're going to have to be able to demonstrate various parameters of both the geology, the geoscience, to be able to demonstrate that that rock can safely contain the fuel.
Another portion of the NWMO's implementation plan talked about the importance of consultation. This has been a massive talking point for the Ignace site, as the project would affect the township as well as the nearby Wabigoon Lake First Nation. Morton went on to say that the final decision is ultimately the community's.
We're confident that we're engaging with the community, that we're trying to answer their questions, and we certainly welcome all of the diversity of views on the project and try to provide the information and answer people's questions so that the community members can make their own decision as to whether the project is a good fit for the community.
The project has sparked interest and opposition not only from Ignace and Wabigoon Lake First Nation, but other communities including Dryden and Thunder Bay, as the transportation of nuclear fuel bundles would happen across northwestern Ontario.
We're also going to be assessing transportation in the area and whether we can develop a safe and socially acceptable transportation plan to both of the locations.
Vasilios Bellos, TBT News.
Municipal election season is about to officially launch in Thunder Bay, and the first event for people thinking about putting their name forward will take place this week with a candidate information session. The election will be held on October 24th, and the nomination period begins on May 2nd. The candidate information session is to help potential candidates better understand what the municipal election will look like. It will take place at the City Hall at 6:30 this Wednesday. There's an opportunity to watch it online for those who can't attend in person. City Clerk Krista Powers is also the municipal election officer. She has more on what to expect.
So we're going to review all of the information about becoming a candidate, what it means, what the rules are, provide some information, and the Municipal Affairs and Housing representatives will be here as well, as again, the province sets the legislation for the election. We're encouraging folks to come out if you potentially have an interest in running, or if you're just interested in learning more about the electoral process. Again, we just encourage folks to come out.
Anyone interested in attending in person will have to reserve a spot by calling the City Clerk's office.
More than a dozen communities around the Northwest are benefiting from millions of dollars of joint federal and provincial funding for water infrastructure projects. The federal and Ontario governments recently announced a long list of cities, towns, and First Nations receiving money through the Investing in Canada infrastructure program. Mitchell Ringos has more on where all that funding will go in our area.
Area MP Patty Haidu says she's pleased to see her government spend $29 million on drinking water infrastructure around the Northwest. Onigaming First Nation and Lac Seul First Nation will each receive a total of $4.6 million for several kilometers of new water mains in their communities, along with other upgrades. Wabigoon Lake Ojibwe Nation will receive $4.3 million for new water mains and new fire hydrants.
Oh, there's a lot of infrastructure work to do on First Nations. This particular money is not coming from a First Nations stream of funding, but First Nations communities have received significant investments both through Infrastructure Canada and through Indigenous Services Canada, but there's still work to do.
The town of Rainy River and Manitouwadge will each receive a total of $3.6 million for new underground water lines. Atikokan will see $3.2 million from Ottawa and the province. Red Lake gets $2.2 million, while Ear Falls will receive $1.7 million. Greenstone also getting $1.7 million to renovate the Long Lac water treatment plant. Kenora will receive $1.3 million for new water mains. White River is getting $1.1 million. Fort Frances gets $900,000, and Scriber will see nearly $380,000 for water main upgrades. Haidu explains how much of an impact these infrastructure projects will have in her riding.
It's really important money for small communities along the North Shore because oftentimes they don't have the tax base to do major infrastructure repairs. So communities like Manitouwadge or Scriber, Long Lac, these are communities that often struggle to keep those basic pieces of water infrastructure intact, and this will go a long way, I'm sure, to help them in those goals.
Each community is also contributing its own share of funding for the water system upgrades. The projects around the Northwest are expected to have varying starting dates for construction, with most of them planned for this summer. Mitchell Ringos, TBT News.
COVID-19 hospitalizations are down today at the Thunder Bay Regional Health Sciences Centre. After peaking at 20 on Saturday, there are now 16 COVID patients in hospital, with 3 in the ICU. The overall hospital occupancy rate sits just below 104%, while the occupancy rate in the intensive care unit has fallen to 68%.
Well, to the latest on the COVID-19 outbreak across Ontario, there are growing concerns over rapid tests. Some health officials are speaking out, saying the results shouldn't be trusted. Sean Leathong explains.
If you're looking to rapid tests to act as a safeguard, one expert is saying it's best to be a little more cautious.
At least 2 rapid tests, at least 24 hours apart, and no symptoms.
Head of Ontario's Science Advisory Table, Dr. Peter Uni, says false negatives can happen.
Don't trust rapid tests. We don't know yet how this works. With BA2, if it's negative once, not enough. It needs to be at least twice.
In a report released by the Science Table last February, they say it took 2 days longer on average for a positive test to show up in a rapid test when compared to a PCR test. And with PCR testing limited in Ontario, Dr. Isaac Bogoch says 2 tests will decrease the probability of a false negative.
If you truly want to address the question, am I contagious right this minute, yes or no, a test will be helpful. The tests aren't perfect. The tests were never perfect.
Dr. Uni says that cases in the 6th wave appear to be flattening, but numbers are so high, they estimate that around 5% of the population is infectious right now. For those who are out in public today, many say they're well versed in protecting themselves, and it's become second nature.
What we try to do is, like, I test one day and my wife tests the other day.
Aksha Karaya says his family follows protocol, so COVID is becoming less of a worry.
We are going out into restaurants and making just other travel plans as well.
Marilia Santos says that she frequently rapid tests for work.
I think that consciously it just gives peace of mind, I guess.
And some say that COVID-19 is moving from the front of their minds.
It's tiresome. We would really like to see things get back to normal, but I feel that we're moving in the right direction.
It is a concern, but you do what you have to do.
Drivers may have noticed some police spot checks over the Easter long weekend. The OPP's annual seatbelt campaign is meant to promote safe travels for everyone on the road and to set a good example for young people. Officers have been set up across Thunder Bay since Good Friday, keeping an eye out for those not wearing the life-saving device. Most of the checkpoints were set up on ramps heading into the expressway, but the OPP's presence was citywide. The issue has been a growing concern in the Northwest. 8 collision fatalities last year were linked to people not buckling up. OPP Traffic Sergeant Tim Penfold explains more about what the seatbelt campaign is and the importance.
When you pull through the off-ramp, if we see you not wearing your seatbelt, then you're going to get pulled over and you're going to get charged for not wearing a seatbelt. It's so simple to put your seatbelt on, just reach across your shoulder and click it in. It can save your life. I've seen it save lives before going to motor vehicle collisions. It's an easy thing to do, and it takes a second.
Police haven't confirmed how many charges were laid, but Penfold says the vast majority of Thunder Bay drivers were wearing their seatbelts.
The Port of Thunder Bay has welcomed the first Salty of the season. It's now docked at the Richardson Terminal. The Blackie is an ocean-going bulk carrier that currently operates under the flag of Cyprus. The ship came from Sault Ste. Marie and arrived in the local harbor just before 8:30 this morning. The plan is to begin loading it with grain tomorrow after some routine inspections are carried out. Port Authority officials say if all goes as planned, it should leave the city by Wednesday. A traditional top hat ceremony is expected to take place tomorrow for the vessel and its captain.
Thunder Bay's cross-country ski venues are thriving this April, thanks to all the fresh snow that's fallen around the city. Officials at Lappy Ski Centre and Camview Nordic Centre both say they plan to stay open for at least another week, but it could be even longer if the weather allows. Jessica Clement reports.
The abundant amount of snow Thunder Bay has received has made it possible for the cross-country ski areas to stay open despite it being mid-April. And the snow, in combination with the warming weather, have made the conditions perfect for the skiers. Tuija Puiris, owner of Lappy Ski Centre, is glad for the successful season, but says there have been some challenges along the way.
It's been challenging but successful. Lots of skiers, I find people have enjoyed it, but also the conditions have been very harsh. We had very cold conditions, and then the next day a snowstorm, and then back into the deep freeze. So people have been very hardy, and they've been skiing a lot.
The ski area is usually open until the second week of April and has already hosted their final event of the season, but Puiris says that depending on the weather, they may be open until the end of the month. And the regular skiers are pretty happy about that.
It's definitely unexpected, but no complaints from me. I mean, the longer the season, the better, in my opinion. It's been great to have everyone out here. So.
Oh, it's great. Perfect conditions out here again today. It's if we're gonna not have spring, might as well have skiing.
Meanwhile, Camview Nordic Centre is also looking to stay open for another week. And while that's great news for the skiers, manager Dave Suddy says that grooming the paths will get more difficult the warmer it gets.
Ideally, you want to groom when it's below zero. So if we start getting nights that are going to be on the plus side, like +1, +2, +3, there's not a lot that we can really do on the grooming because the equipment sinks into the ground and it just doesn't do quite as nice of a job.
Regardless, the regulars at Camview are making the most out of the snow.
It's just an extra treat this year, because normally this time of year everything's all muddy, and it's the spring in Thunder Bay isn't usually a very nice season. So
yeah, it's great. Might as well use it while the snow is on the ground, and trails I'm sure are pretty good. I haven't been out for a few days, but why not use it when the snow's there?
Jessica Clement, TBT News.
Meanwhile, it looks like this was the final day of the season for downhill skiers and snowboarders at the Loch Lomond ski area. The hill celebrated its 100th day of operation with a free ski day this afternoon. Jonathan Wilson has more.
The free ski day at Loch Lomond was a busy one, as hundreds of people came by on Easter Monday to take advantage of the end-of-season promotion. The hill has been open since mid-December, making April 18th its 100th day of operations. It's one of their longest seasons in a while, and General Manager Jason Gary says that it's a milestone.
We haven't hit that since we've had ownership from 2014. So for us, it's a bit of an exciting day. Generally, our seasons don't last this long. We had an okay opening this year, mid-December, and now to be running in mid-April still is a pretty good season for us.
Many of the skiers we spoke to were in disbelief about how great the hill conditions were, despite it being mid-April, and they wanted to make the most of the day.
This is wild. It's unusual. It's great that we can still do it, and awesome that they have a free day, and we just got pulled up with snow last night. It's great.
Awesome. I mean, we've gotten a lot of snow. I love that I can still train for racing. It's a great start for next year.
It's awesome. I never thought we'd be able to do this last year. It was way too warm last year, but now I'm out here shredding. It's awesome. Can't complain.
Unfortunately, nothing can last forever. And Gary says that due to the forecast calling for rain this upcoming weekend, Day 100 is the official last day. However, skiers shouldn't lose hope just yet, as there may be some bonus ski days in late April and even early May, if the weather permits.
Next weekend, we're looking like we've got a little bit of wet weather coming in, so we're not sure what the status is there, but we'll have to reevaluate once we get through that. And if we see some really nice spring weather days, we may be making some announcements, and we may have a couple more bonus days this spring.
Updates on future potential ski days will be posted on Loch Lomond's website or their social media pages. Jonathan Wilson, TBT News.
The newly rebuilt Boulevard Lake Dam showed off one of its exciting new features over the long weekend. The dam was lit up with Easter colors for the holiday, and many residents have stopped by to enjoy the show. Vasilios Bellos reports.
The $8.5 million project on the 114-year-old landmark saw a widened walkway, concrete repairs, and stability improvements. But it was the new lighting system that many in the city were excited for this past weekend. Curious onlookers showed up to catch a glimpse of the dam being lit up blue, pink, and yellow to celebrate the Easter weekend. Local photographers also took advantage of the scenic display, posting shots on social media of the dam's first holiday lighting. Mike Vogrig is the project engineer with the city and says he's amazed with the public reaction.
I've been working with the city for a long time. I don't think I've ever got this much positive feedback on a project I've been involved with before, so it's been really good. Still some other items that are niggling, but that was kind of like the last thing to complete the project, and so it's I've been working on it for a long time. It's a pretty good feeling, kind of seeing it all lit up when we were testing it and stuff like that, and seeing it all done.
Of course, the new lighting system can be used for more than just the Easter weekend, with the current setup providing opportunities to light up with specific colors for other holidays or events. Vogrig says the dam has the potential for even more exciting lighting features in the future.
Some additional software where you could take it and you could kind of like start like each individual light you could program with different colors, different timings, all sorts of stuff. In the meantime, I guess that's maybe a little bit more advanced. What we have just with the basic package is pretty cool as it is, so we'll see if we end up doing something more with the lights in the future.
Vasilios Bellos, TBT News.
Very cool to see that over